Welcome to BondTV. First in private capital news.
Good afternoon and welcome back to BondTV. I'm Leslie Clark and today we're going to look into private credit fundamentals. This episode examines one of the most foundational concepts in private credit, the capital structure, how it works, what each layer represents, and how companies use it to allocate capital as efficiently as possible. The capital structure is, at its core, a hierarchy. Every dollar a company raises carries a rank, a position in line. That ranking determines two things: who receives payment first when the business performs, and who absorbs losses first when it does not. The classic analogy is a waterfall. Cash flows down from the top, satisfying each layer in sequence. Losses work in reverse. They enter at the bottom of the structure and move upward. The lower the position in the stack, the greater the risk. The higher the position, the greater the protection. At the top sits senior debt. These lenders hold the first claim on assets and cash flows. Because they bear the least risk, they accept the lowest return. In private credit, this layer typically takes the form of first lien direct lending. In a distress scenario, senior lenders stand first in line for recovery. Below that sits mezzanine debt. Mezzanine lenders receive payment only after senior obligations are fully satisfied, meaning they carry meaningfully more risk. To compensate, they charge higher interest rates and often negotiate equity warrants or payment-in-kind features that provide participation in the company's upside. At the bottom sits equity. Founders, management, and private equity sponsors hold the last claim on assets. Every dollar of loss runs through equity before any lender absorbs impact. The trade-off is clear. Equity holders carry the highest risk in the structure, and when the company succeeds, capture all value created above the debt stack. This hierarchy is not a matter of preference. In a distress scenario, legal priority governs the outcome. The capital structure is not simply a legal framework. It is a decision companies actively design to optimize growth and returns on equity invested. The central trade-off is straightforward. Debt costs less than equity and carries fixed obligations. Equity offers flexibility at a steep price. Every share issued represents a portion of future value permanently transferred. The question then is not whether to use debt, but how much to enjoy the return enhancement you are seeking. However, there is a caveat. Excessive leverage creates a rigid, fixed cost structure. When business conditions deteriorate and cash flows contract, a heavily leveraged company can find itself unable to meet its obligations, putting the entire enterprise at risk. The objective is balance. A company targets enough senior debt to minimize equity dilution and reduce its overall cost of capital, while retaining sufficient flexibility to operate through a downturn and expand equity upside. Mezzanine fills a specific and valuable role in that equation. When a business reaches its senior debt capacity but still requires capital, mezzanine bridges the gap. It costs more than senior debt but less than surrendering additional equity, and it allows companies to enhance returns without ceding control or adding any new partnership risk from new and perhaps unknown equity shareholders. Private credit has grown to approximately $1.7 trillion in assets under management, with projections pointing toward $2.3 trillion by the end of this cycle. That growth is reshaping how capital structures are assembled. Three trends stand out. The first is the rise of unitranche facilities. Rather than negotiating separately with a bank for senior debt and a private lender for mezzanine, borrowers can access a single instrument that combines both. Execution simplifies considerably. Investors, however, need to examine the agreement among lenders beneath the surface. It creates an internal risk split that the term sheet alone does not reveal. The second is thicker equity cushions. With base rates remaining elevated, debt service costs more, and lenders require larger equity contributions to ensure coverage ratios hold up under valuation compression. Cushions of 40 to 50% are increasingly the expectation, not the exception. The third is covenant discipline. Private credit managers have maintained tighter document protections, even as syndicated markets loosened. Covenants function as an early warning system. They give lenders visibility into emerging stress before a situation deteriorates into default. The capital structure is a hierarchy, and in any distress scenario, that hierarchy carries legal force. Priority determines outcome. For investors, the central question is how much enterprise value must erode before a given position faces impairment. Senior lenders at the top of the stack, with 40 to 50% of junior capital beneath them, carry substantial protection. Mezzanine lenders sit lower and accept greater exposure to impairment, and their pricing reflects it. For companies, the capital structure is a tool for efficiency and return enhancement. The objective is to carry as much low-cost senior debt as the business can safely support, minimizing dilution and optimizing returns, while preserving the flexibility to operate through cycles. Mezzanine is not a last resort. Used correctly, it functions as a bridge between cheap debt and expensive equity. The capital structure is set before the ink dries. Know exactly where you stand within it. Understand the hierarchy and you know where safety lives. Design the structure with discipline and you know where efficiency lives. Apply leverage with rigor and you build something that can withstand the cycles ahead. I'm Leslie Clark. Thank you for joining me on BondTV. See you next time.